In the distant reaches of the galaxy, on a remote planet known as Trin, a small group of sentient beings gathered at the twilight of their days. As was their custom, they stood in a circle, ruminating not just on their daily sustenance, but on the fate of their community. Their leader, an elder named Thor, began the somber discussion. "A treaty," Thor said, his voice heavy. "That's what the reports call it, but it reads like surrender." The others gathered around him murmured in concern. Most had only just begun to grasp the implications: words of planets, seceded colonies to be abandoned, trade routes relinquished. "So much for the dream of new fields and brighter futures," added Lyra, the group's historian. "We must return to our overcrowded homeland." A chorus of sorrowful agreement spread through the group. It was days later when they reconvened. Their hopes were dimmed further. "When will the ships come?" one of the younger members, Corin, asked. "Soon, we hope," Thal replied. "This colony is to be abandoned. The enemy has ships in orbit. They're likely evacuating larger colonies first." Another few days passed before they met again, no longer chewing cud, but filled with dread. "I fear the ships may not come," Thor admitted, his voice breaking. "We might have been forgotten, abandoned as a political convenience. We can't just wait to die." Corin argued, "We should fight. There are nearly 3,000 of us." There was a murmur of agreement, stronger this time. "We can't win," Lyra said, "but we can delay losing. We can hold the line for as long as possible." Thor nodded. "I'll set the colony's communication array to send out an automatic distress signal." Days later, their spirits were lifted slightly. "The line holds," Fair reported, "but the communication array was hit last night." There was a partial message before it went down. It read, "Do not know you," and then nothing. "So we are alone," Lyra said, resigned. "Shall we give up?" "No," Thor said firmly. "We hold the line. If we fight, we might die, but if we don't fight, we will surely perish." There was no uncertainty in their agreement. 2 days later, under an overcast sky, the distant sound of thunder drew their eyes upwards. Fireballs descended from the clouds, revealing small black objects falling fast. Panic spread, but the objects deployed chutes and landed harmlessly in the fields. From each object, a bipedal figure emerged, forming up into small groups. The figures approached the colonists, the lead one making a complex motion with its limb. "I am Captain Smith, 7th Tan-Essa Regiment," he introduced himself. "I would like to speak to whoever is in charge here, please." Thera stepped forward. "We don't know about Terra. You're not part of the Federation, the Coalition, or the Hegemony. Why are you here?" "We're not wholly on anyone's side," Captain Smith explained, "but we couldn't ignore a cry for help." "But why help us?" Thera asked. "You don't even know us." "You chose to resist," Smith replied. "You chose to fight. We don't know you, but we came to help." There was a sound of wet agreement from the locals as they chewed cud and digested the news. In a corner, a young local child laughed, drawing their attention. Corporal Josh was entertaining her with a disappearing trick using a power cell her father held. "The line held on the first day," a local explained. "She hasn't spoken since, but the line held, and it will keep holding," Captain Smith assured them. "Now I need to see some maps." In the shade of a large building, the captain pointed at a crude map on the ground. "We hold the line here, here, and here. My regiment will reinforce these points in 2 days. The TSS Lawu will launch recovery shuttles." "Your ship isn't in orbit?" Thor asked. "No," Smith replied. "We launched as soon as we had a good fix. For days in the pod, it was a rough journey, but you asked for aid, so we came." Sounds of approval filled the air. The captain continued, "We need to extend the line to the spaceport." As the days passed, the line held despite the enemy's relentless assaults. "The enemy knows you're here," Captain Thla said. "They're doubling their efforts." "We've lost 215 turn," Smith noted somberly, "but the line holds." "What should we do with your dead?" Thera asked. Bury them alongside your fallen, Smith said. They fought together, they'll face the afterlife together. Thla nodded. It will be done. In the early morning light, the captain and his new allies leaned over the map again. We need to hold this point to break through to the spaceport. Volunteers will stay behind to delay the enemy. The locals watched as their children, elderly, and wounded formed up. Corporal Joshin, carrying the young girl, made his way through the crowd. Your corporal is good with children, Thor observed. He was a father, Smith replied. Now he's helping hold the line. Hours later, hundreds of faces turned skyward as shuttles arrived, children and non-combatants first, Captain Smith ordered. We still don't know why you came to help, Thor said. As I said, we don't know you from Adam, but that's for later, Smith replied. He spotted Corporal Joshin heading to the perimeter. Corporal, where are you going? To help hold the line, sir, Joshin replied. You're on the first flight out, Corporal. That's an order. Yes, sir, Joshin said, returning to the crowd. As the TSS Lawu left the system, the captain visited the infirmary. Corporal Joshin, this is Chala's mother. She held the line and was on the last flight out. Will she make it, sir? Joshin asked. Yes, she will, Smith assured him. Stay with her and Chala. Help them hold this line. Yes, sir, Joshin agreed. Later, the locals caught up with the captain. The last volunteers are preparing to destroy their positions. They held the line this long, Smith said, so the rest could retreat. We wish to thank you for coming to our aid. How could we not? Smith replied. You didn't know us, Thor said, and yet you saved over 1,600 of us. I've been informed my translation was wrong, Smith said with a smile. It's not don't know you from Adam. It's can't tell you apart from Adam. The locals looked at each other, then at the infirmary where Joshin and Chala sat beside her mother. We see, Thala said. Thank you, Captain. Thank you for holding the line. Smith replied.